On today's episode of the Yaesu The Radio Show podcast, we are going to go ahead and talk about the new and soon to be in dealers' hands, the FTM-310D. That's right, the FTM-310D. That's for today, Friday, August 29th, on the Yaesu The Radio Show podcast. Alrighty, and welcome everybody to the Yaesu The Radio Show podcast. I am your host, John Crook. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. More importantly, I would like to take a moment to thank some of the emails that we have got from fans of the podcast. And I was actually kind of shocked about this, where some people, they see us at the shows. Let's back up there. They see us at the shows. So we were at Huntsville Hamfest back in the beginning part of, or mid part of August, let's say, and we had some people that come up to the booth, and I actually found out some people that are saying, John, what happened to your podcast? What happened? I haven't seen a podcast in years. And we're like, what are you talking about? Well, what happened was we found out that PODBEAN was not uploading to the system like we thought it was, so we are going to be working on getting PODBEAN to go out to Apple Podcasts, to maybe even go out to Spotify and a couple other ones on there, so we are working on that. Sorry that PODBEAN did that to us, but hey, it is what it is, right, in the world of technology. But then I had a few people that came up to me and said, I love your podcast. It's great. I listen to it. It's about 30 minutes. I'll listen to it on my walk in the morning. I even had a few people that said, if you watch us on the YouTube version of it, where it's just basically, if you're listening on a PODBEAN, right now the YouTube version is just me talking in front of the camera on there, but people like that because we do show some pictures and stuff on there. And I had another guy come up to me and says, I like to listen to it, but he's like, I actually like to watch it on the YouTube and channel that you guys have, Yaesu USA Official, when at night. And the guy's wife even said, yes, you join us in your bedroom all the time, John. And I'm like, I kind of laughed and I said, well, that's great. And then with that, some people said, hey, I'm going to send you some letters. And we've seen a lot of letters of encouragement, a lot of letters of, good job, a lot of letters of, hey, can you think about this for an object item on there? So if at any time you want to talk about an object on the podcast, or have us do a discussion about something on the podcast, send me an email. So j.kruk@yaesu.com. Once again, j.kruk@yaesu.com, YEESU.com. Or if you don't want to send an email that way, you can always go to the Contact Us page and go under the general question section on there, and then on the topic there in the email, whatever, just put podcast discussion on there. We've received some great ones in the past, and I'll be honest with you, some have said, hey, can you show me how to, or talk about how to do this on an older radio? Sometimes we can't really fulfill them because either equipment's too old or we have other stuff to talk about, so we do our best to be able to try to fulfill all those requests on there. But if you do have one, by all means, go ahead and hit us up. But with that little bit, before we jump into there, I said go to the Yaesu.com webpage. Head on over to our new redesigned Yaesu.com website. That's right, Yaesu Radio for Professionals. That's what we're calling ourselves now. And the reason being is because our radios are not just, you hear the word amateur and you think of inexperienced, unknowing, those kind of things. That's not our equipment at all. Our equipment is high quality. We stand behind our products with a 3-year warranty. You've heard me talk about that numerous times. But we want to be able to bring radios to you and that information about those radios to you. And where else? Through our Yaesu.com website. Head on over there. You have the sections of amateur radio, aviation radio, and marine radio. Those are our 3 divisions of Yaesu. And if you're listening to it in the U.S., hey, guess what? All of those 3 divisions are through our office in Cypress, California. But from there, you can click into the individual realms of it, amateur radio, aviation, marine, and then see all that information about those radios. In addition, check out our legacy section under the amateur radio section. Some people are like, hey, I have this older radio. Do you still support it? Do you not? That kind of thing on there. Well, we can't support every single radio we've ever made. If you can go to that Yaesu.com website, amateur radio, and then scroll down, click on legacy products, you'll see the links for everything that will be able to be researched on there, to maybe have files or manuals or whatever on there. Head on over and check it out today. Alrighty, as I said, we're talking about the FTM-310 today, and this is going to kind of be the first part of it. This radio is really, really amazing on there. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, what is this going to be? The MO, John, of going ahead and releasing a new radio every 3-4 years and stuff? No, this is not the case. I'm sure you could see with other manufacturers of electronic products, components become an issue. And they always become an issue. It's always been an issue, right? Radios just don't get discontinued because, oh, we don't like it or whatever. No, at Yaesu, we pride ourselves when we put research, development, time, the engineering, everything into those radios. We want to make a great, high-quality product. But if we don't have those components available, guess what? We have to do something else. And we're not going to rehash things out. We're not going to slap on a different connector or something there and make it a newer version of the radio. What we like to do is, and as you can probably see through our history, is we like to improve. We like to take it to the next step up, the next level up on there. And the FTM-310 is not anything different from that mold. So looking at the FTM-300, it was a smaller square display. It was a color display, wasn't touchscreen. But a lot of people said, I like it, but man, I want the microphone in the control head. I want the speaker in the control head. A lot of people saw what we did with the FTM 500 series and now the 510 series, and they said, why can't you do that in an analog radio? And well, we did. We came out with the FTM 150. And when the FTM 150 came out, people were like, great, it's got digital. Wait, it doesn't. Why can't you do that with the FTM 150 in a digital design? And guess what? We did. And that's where the FTM 310 comes into play. Now, the FTM 310 has two different versions of the radio. You have the FTM 310D ASP, and you have the FTM 310D, which is a non-ASP version. What is ASP? Well, it's Advanced Digital Signal Processing on there. We've talked about it in some of our past podcasts. We actually we demonstrated ASP technology at Huntsville. And let me tell you something, it blew people's minds. And I mean, I had people like, whoa, I had a person come to me and he's like, okay, it is just a snake oil thing you're trying to push on us, John. And I said, no, let's do it. We turned to the local National Weather Service broadcast frequency. I think it was like 162.400 if I remember correctly down there. Had it connected to a little mag mount antenna, and we showed, hey, how well you're receiving it here. And of course, we had it full scale in there, right? Because we had a mag mount antenna. We unscrewed the mag mount antenna, and then we touched our finger to the outside of the connector just to give it some sort of antenna on there, right? A little bit of an antenna on there. And then we showed them on there how that S meter went away. We heard the signal, but no S meter. We hit the SDX button, which is on the 310, as well as the 510, the FT3185, the FT3165. And by hitting that S button, SDX button, we gained one S unit. And then we heard it, but it was really scratchy in the background, right? What did we do? We then turned on that ASP technology, and that audio digital signal processing technology smoothed it out, got rid of that staticky hiss noise. Even with low signal, it made this crystal clear analog signal come through with no antenna attached. So it just goes and shows you how that combination of the SDX and the ASP go together. But we know some people don't want ASP. ASP is only going to impact you with analog voice operation. It's not going to impact with digital. So for some people who are looking for digital radio, this is not a thing for them. But digressing back, those are the two different models. Now, if you look at the form factor, you will see that it is like the FTM 150. It is a larger display. It has a left side and a right side on there. Big, nice display. Yes, it will be able to do the two different colors. People have already asked that because they said, oh, the 310 picture is like a whitish blue kind of background on there, and the FTM 150 was an orange color. Well, guess what? You can switch the different colors on there. The 150 can be this bluish kind of color and orange, or vice versa. The 310 could be this whitish color, bluish color, and then orange on there. But that's going to be the two base models on there. Now, people said, well, what if I get the non-ASP? What if I just get the FTM-310D without ASP? Can I add it later? And yes, you can. With the addition of the SPU-1 board, you can now make your radio into an ASP capable radio. So the firmware and the technology is there, but just the actual mechanical points of having the board to do the ASP technology is not actually there. Now, highlighting, and I call it the 10,000 foot view, what the FTM-310 can do. First of all, it is going to be capable of C4FM right out of the box. You don't need to buy a board. It's not C4FM ready or C4FM capable. No, any of our radios with there that C4FM listed on there means it is capable of C4FM. And let me tell you something, we've talked about it. People are saying, how would you compare digital audio quality? How would you compare C4FM to other digital modes? And by far, it is a superior voice sounding mode. It is based off of the technology that public safety users use day in and day out. All right. If you're a scanner listener, if you're in public safety like me, if you're on there, you know that having a digital voice radio, digital voice in general, let's just put it that way, if it's all can't hear it or it's bad audio quality or stuff, you're going to get a headache, you're going to get fatigued, you're going to get all that kind of stuff on there. No, C4FM operates at the highest quality. It runs at 9600 baud for the best data bandwidth. And it has good bit error rate characteristics. That's why it was chosen as the mode by like the Association of Professional Communication Officers, APCO. That's why there's a standard called P25, because it states using C4FM and FDMA technology, this is what we want to achieve for audio characteristics. And that's what we did with using C4FM as part of Yaesu System Fusion. Now, as I said, also the FTM-310 is going to be capable, if you buy the ASP version or the SPU1 later, it will have the Super DX and ASP functionality. That Super DX button acts like a receiver. It increases the receiver sensitivity is the best way to describe it. A lot of people said, oh, it adjusts the squelch. No, it really actually increases receiver sensitivity on there. And that's the best way to describe it, because you could actually, as I stated, what we did as an example, put the radio on there, put it on a signal, hit that SDX, and you're going to see that signal meter actually increase. Sometimes I've seen it not only by 1S unit, but I've seen it by 2 or 3, depending on the signal that's coming into there. Combine that with the ASP technology, your analog signals are going to sound amazing, and you will get amazing coverage on there. PMG, it does have the personal memory groups or primary memory groups on there. That allows you to store 5 frequencies on the fly, which could be VFO frequencies or it could be memory frequencies. So if you're traveling through an area or something like that, you can do that on there. We'll have that. And this is really amazing. Combining with the Super DX and ASP technology with the AESS. Remember, our AESS technology is an audio acoustic enhancement sound system. That was in our FT710. That's when you first saw it. We brought it to the 500 series. Now we're bringing it to the 310. With all those functionalities on there, you have a great, amazing sounding radio that I guarantee you will be able to pull in signals audio-wise that another analog radio is not going to have that ability to do so. Okay. Now let's talk a little bit more about the Super DX and ASP, the audio digital signal processing. What you want to think of is that, think of it, you're in an area, right? You have a radio and you're talking to another radio user, right? You're at a certain distance. That is going to be your general analog FM communication only. Super DX is going to extend that range, and Super DX plus ASP is going to extend that range even more. But here is the thing about using Super DX and ASP, which the FTM-310 helps you on. There are 2 modes for ASP usage in the FTM-310. There's going to be manual mode, and there's going to be auto mode. Now, and if you're an HFer, you're going to understand what I'm saying here, just like that, right? But if you're not an HF, this can be some confusing for people. So basically what ASP is doing is for sake of a better term, right, you're taking digital noise reduction and digital noise filtering and applying it to an FM signal. Normally in HF, we're doing that with single sideband, but not in this case here. Now we are actually taking that same concept, but instead of applying it to a single sideband signal on HF, we're applying it to an FM signal on VHF and UHF. But, and I have to stress this a lot, because when ASP first came out, we had numerous people saying it's broken, it doesn't work, like it's garbage. Well, what we were finding out is that if you have a strong signal or strong audio, when you try to filter it, it's not going to work, right? Because how can you increase a stronger signal, right? You're going to increase it almost too much, all right? Same thing with audio. If you have good audio, you try to increase it or you try to enhance it even more, it's not going to work. So to help people be able to use ASP effectively, you have the ASP manual mode or you have the ASP auto mode. So in manual mode, what you're doing is you're going to press the SDX button to enable the SDX function. You press the SDX button again, now you're going to enable the SDX function and ASP functionality. Press it one more time, you turn it off. That's manual mode. Simple. Boom, boom, boom. Manual intervention. However, if you're using the ASP auto mode, you press and hold the SDX key, and that activates the ASP auto mode on there. What that does is it's going to go ahead and allow the radio to take a look and engage the SDX and the ASP. But if it sees signals that are too strong or sees signals that have too much audio, the ASP and the SDX will turn on and off based on the signal it's receiving. Because I've had some people saying, God, I'm driving along and the signal's really good and everything like that. And then all of a sudden I turn on that SDX and all of a sudden like this. And it's like, well, I thought I was supposed to make signals better. Well, you can't overdrive something. And that's what you're in essence doing. You're overdriving it. You're over attenuating it in essence. So therefore we have the ASP manual mode and the ASP auto mode. Now I've used ASP auto in certain situations already. And I will tell you, it is amazing. Traveling around, and I'll give you an example, it was the Chicago area, and going along, and I'm trying to hear repeaters, and I'm on the southeast side of Chicago, and I'm trying to hear repeaters all the way on the west side on there. And if you don't know that Chicago is a giant RF bed of interference, well, then you obviously haven't used a radio in Chicago. But what happened in this case is that I'm trying to pull in that repeater, trying to listen, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be a great case of using SDX and ASP. Well, sure enough, there's little spots, and as I'm traveling, where the signal comes in really good, and then wait a minute, now I don't need the SDX and ASP, so I had to turn it off, and then I would go again, turned it on auto mode, boom. It's like that conversation never went out, because when SDX and ASP wasn't needed, great, it stopped, but then when it was needed, it turned it on, and I was able to hear repeaters at greater distances. So that's what the neat part about the FTM-310 is, having this ASP manual and auto mode on there. Now, let's talk about the PMG, primary memory group. As stated, it goes ahead and allows you to throw in 5 frequencies, whether they're all from VFO, all from memory, or a combination of both, to store them in there for you to have sort of a kind of a quick reference on them. Now, I don't know about you, but PMG is kind of a cool thing that actually, and I'm going to tap into my public safety roots here, is something that's really cool when we're in an incident, right? When I'm normally not on a call or something like that on there and I'm using my radios, I might scan like 12, 13 different channels, right? But in the heat of the moment, in an incident, I maybe just need to monitor this channel, attack channel, something else. I don't want to do a lot of channels. PMG kind of embraces that from the professional world and puts it into the amateur world. And people who have had radios or who use radios that have PMG in it already, and during events, they're like, oh my goodness, this is why haven't you had this before? Because what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to throw in those things that you need. So if you guys are in a situation where you're using, let's say, 2 different repeaters for your event, and you're using 1, 2, 3, maybe simplex channels or whatever, you could throw all those 5 channels in there. And it doesn't matter where they're at. You don't have to be like, oh, wait a minute, I got to put it in my memory, put it in here, and this and this and this. Normally, right, you may not have all those channels in there, or you're going to have to reprogram your memory bank if they're not in the right way, or really a pain in the butt, right? But with PMG, it allows you to do those kind of few things on there. And we also have the option to do the auto and manual mode. The auto and manual modes are actually absolutely amazing on there. This goes ahead and allows you to basically have it either actively search for them, activity, or allow you to select the activity on there. So no longer are you having to look at the screen and saying, okay, wait, there's activity. Oh, let me change it. Let me do this. No. With auto mode, you can have it, and being that the FTM-310 is a dual band, dual receive, dual active receiver, you're going to be able to facilitate this auto mode of letting it kind of go through those 5 channels and to stop and listen to those channels and not have to manually search them, manually put them on there. So that's PMG mode is built into that. Once again, auto or manual mode. We'll cover that some more in a little bit. But before we continue on, let's go ahead and talk about our specials. That's right. A lot of people said, John, hey, you know what? Huntsville was the last amateur show that you guys kind of do. You're doing a little other things on there, but are we going to see any great deals? What are the great deals that are out there right now? Can you help us out? And guess what? Head on over to that Yaesu.com website and you can see what great specials we have going on right now. Right now, through the end of September, so September 30th, you got a month left. Labor Day weekend's coming. Hey, what a great thing to do. Spend a little cash, get a radio in your hand, and have some fun, right? But through September 30th for the North America market, I need to say North America, we're giving you an instant coupon. Instant meaning instant, right away. No mail-in, no nothing. You go to your favorite authorized Yaesu dealer, you buy the radio, they're taking that off the cost of the radio at that time. We're doing it on the FT-710, AESS, and the FT-710 field. Let me tell you something. A lot of people have gotten rid of their other older radios and saying, I want the 710. Not only is it more cost effective, but it is number 3 on the Sherwood list. And some people saying, who cares about that Sherwood list? That's fine. Don't want to do it. Play with it yourself. There have been people that have saying that I have gone ahead and had other radios that are high quality, more expensive than the 710, and I can't receive a signal on them with the same antenna that I can great with the FT710. We have the FTM-510D ASP and the FTM-510D, so both models on there, taking $100 instant coupon. The FTM-150, which this 310 is based off of, the ASP and non-ASP version, take an additional $30 instant coupon on there. Hey, the FT3185, you want a powerhouse 85-watt radio that you can throw across the gymnasium, pick up, and put it back in your vehicle and use it because it's built that tough. The ASP and non-ASP version, $30 discount on there. The FT5D, looking for a new handheld, $40 off. The FT70, $20 off. And, which I haven't seen in a while, the submersible VX6R and the tried and true FT60, both VX6 getting $30 instant coupon and that FT60 getting a $20 instant coupon. These are through our authorized Yaesu dealers through the end of September. Oh, and hey, club, group, organization, even an individual looking for a repeater or even one that can be used as a deployable unit if you need to, head on over to our systemfusion.yaesu.com website where the Yaesu repeater program is still taking place. That's right, get a DR2X for only $950 or $1,300 with the LAN unit in there. I'm not sure anywhere else you can get a repeater for $950 brand new with the 3-year warranty that is VHF and UHF capable, has dual receivers, and can even be used as a unidirectional repeater to receive on VHF, transmit on UHF, or transmit on receive on UHF and transmit on VHF, but not bidirectional. Can't go back and forth, just only one way. However, great for these MCOM situations. $950, brand new, shipped to you. Once again, for the North America market, head on over to your favorite authorized Yaesu dealer for that information today. Alrighty, we are back, and we have a few more items about today's show, and then we're going to do next week's show is going to be more about the FTM-310 on there, because there's a lot built into this radio here that I have had a great time learning about, playing with, and stuff like that on there. I like the display. I really do. I like it. And I'll tell you why even more I like it is, once again, touching on this manual mode. I knew some people were going to go ahead and say that. But if you look at the manual mode for PMG, what you can do is in there, it's going ahead in manual mode. You're going to receive and transmit on that one PMG frequency. But in manual mode, it will be able to receive on another PMG frequency with activity. However, if you do auto mode, that auto mode will allow you, if, hey, let's say you're on PMG frequency 3, and all of a sudden traffic comes in on PMG frequency 5, it will move over to there, so it'll be easier for you to use on there. And once again, applications of this, I was just told about this story from a person, was doing an event with PMG functionality with the FTM-510 series, and he said it was amazing. We use a repeater, we use 3 simplexes. No one uses a simplex unless we go ahead and move over to them. He's like, I'm sitting on that frequency of the repeater, PMG1, and simplexes were 2, 3, and 4. And the next thing I know is all of a sudden there was traffic on the simplex frequency that I needed to know. And guess what? Instantly in auto mode, it moved over to there, so I was able to talk and communicate. So amazing little functionality on that radio. I got to hand it to them. But the last thing we're going to talk about the FTM-310 today is about the loud front speaker and AES dual speaker system. Now, I want to stress this is an important thing on there because AESS helps you get that signal out of the mud, audio-wise. The ASP helps audio and signal-wise. The SDX helps signal-wise. But AESS is a lot more. It's filtering that you can put into this radio. But it also shows what is feature-packed in this radio for your usage. So the FTM-310 can be mounted as a dash mount kind of type radio, has the SMJK or SJMK bracket on there that allows you to do like 180 degree kind of tilt rotate of the control head. And then it also has the ability to have it separated completely via remote cable. Now what that does here is that with the 310 you have the speaker in the control head, you have the microphone in the control head, you have the SD card in the control head. What does that mean? Well, that means that you can take the control head only, buy the extension cable, throw the main body of that radio under a seat, in the trunk, wherever. You don't have to run a microphone cable to it. You don't have to run a speaker cable to it. You don't have to do nothing because that radio has that ability there. It has a 3-watt speaker in the head, 3-watt speaker in the radio itself, combining the two together. So if you actually have like the body of the radio and the head of the radio in the same vicinity, or maybe the body of the radio somewhere else and you're running an external speaker and you have that speaker from there, you can use that AESS technology, which, for a reminder, what it does is it takes a full audio spectrum and separates through one speaker the low and the low mid-range, and through the other speaker the high and the high mid-range, and divides it out. Divides it, kind of crosses out there, the two there. And when that happens, guess what's happening? You're going ahead and being able to hear the audio differences because now you have a speaker focusing on one specific frequency range instead of the whole speaker frequency range. And we have had people that have come up to us and said, John, I'm tone deaf, and now that you've been starting to include the AESS in the 500 series, it was in the 710, as well as now you're going to put it in the 310. He's like, I don't even need to use my hearing aids because I'm slightly tone deaf because of what AESS can do. But by having the AESS, that is super amazing on there. Super amazing on there. Once again, you can apply filtering to that. Even if you don't use the AESS fully, you still can apply that filtering technology of it on there. And once again, having AESS allows what I just talked about, that separation of each other on there, and that allows that connectivity to one another on there without having to have that radio. Because I know car spaces are tight, right? Car spaces are extremely tight on there. And you don't have the ability to maybe mount the radio in a dash mount. You don't even maybe have the ability to have it like the control head on an extended bracket and move it. I understand that. We understand that at Yaesu. And that's why we've done this on there. Now, Couple things about the ASP. The ASP only comes out of the front speaker on there. So the main unit speaker will not sound when the ASP function is in use. So what even a better way to go ahead and have ASP applied there? You're going to get all the benefits on there by just having that head mounted in a remote location on there. So that's going to be the great part about that. Loud front speaker, 3 watts on it. And you also have the 3-watt speaker in the back, so that body unit. So if you have the two combined together, 6 full watts of audio power. Otherwise, 3 watts is amazing, okay? And I mean, it fills up my car easily and great on there. So this has kind of been a quick 10,000-foot view of the first part of the FTM-310 features, functionalities on there. Join us next week, where we're going to go ahead and talk about more features of the FTM-310. And all I'm going to say is that you're going to see a lot of stuff progress on there that I don't think you realize that it has in there, because we talked about some of the basic functions. We're going to dive into some more of the advanced functions on there. And for what the radio looks like, what the radio can do, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I know I love my FTM-150. Adding the digital functionality to this, as well as, I'll give you a little spoiler, GPS and APRS into there, really makes it this amazing radio. But even better yet, it makes it a radio designed for digital users and analog users. If you don't want digital, don't want APRS, guess what? Use the FTM-150. But if you want that Yaesu System Fusion functionality, which we are committed to, I know some people said, oh, they're getting rid of Fusion. No, that's internet chatter. And if you want internet chatter or you believe stuff on the internet, then I got a bridge to sell you in New York. I think that's how the old joke goes, right? But with that being said, that is going to really expand your operational and functionality on there. Shows that we're committed to the Yaesu System Fusion protocol. Shows that there's on there. And like I said, more to come next week. So until then, everybody take care. If you're listening to this on the weekend, have a great Labor Day weekend. Feel free to listen to our older podcast on PodBean. As I said, we're going to work to get those out to the other places on there. And once again, you ever have a comment question, you want a further discussion of something about the show, or hey, you want to be a guest on a show, drop us an email, j.kruk@yaesu.com, or via the Contact Us page on the yaesu.com website. So until then, everybody, take care, stay safe, and we'll catch you on down the log.